of the Rockies.
You're watching Canada's Weather Network. To help you plan your activities in the coming days, here are the short and long-term forecasts for your area. Upload your photos and videos, visit upload.theweathernetwork.com. Keep the forecast at your fingertips. Download the Weather Network app at your favorite app store.
We are watching some spectacular waves here at Cape Race. Absolutely incredible.
On the science behind the weather today, storm surge and swells, there's a huge difference. Storm surge can cause incredible problems in a harbor like St. John's Harbor if you were to get it. But let's first talk about swells. Swells are simply the waves, the rising and falling of the ocean. You can see them in the distance. About every seventh wave is a largish wave. But those are the swells of the ocean. It's the regular rhythm. Storm surge, on the other hand, is the actual energy of a storm, the central barometric pressure and the winds amassing a great volume of seawater, sometimes hundreds of kilometers in area, and pushing it towards the coast where it causes flooding. Now you know the difference. It is so cold.
Quite a bit of wind with this passage.
Winds will be gusting upwards of about 70 to 80 kilometers an hour.
Here's how dangerous it is out on the roads.
Wow, hold on to your hats today.
It's been going like this now and now it is coming down.
You know what it means when it rains or there's a hurricane on your wedding?
Good luck!
Yes! You're watching the Weather Network. Your weather when it really matters.
Meteorologist Jacqueline Woodall, I'm on the backside of this big storm system right now. I want to draw your attention to that. I just hope that everybody is heeding the warnings today.
For our blind and low vision viewers, the Weather Network offers regional audio description weather reports during our local forecasts on the Thames.
Weather Watch forecasting, powered by Polaris Snowmobiles. See endless possibilities.
Oh man, if you live in the Toronto area, something amazing is going to happen, featuring the Royal Canadian Air Force. First day of September, they're getting new colors. It's a tradition and it's a military ceremony, but it will feature all of the aircraft in the Royal Canadian Air Force over history and the present fleet. They're all going to fly over Toronto on September the 1st, and they'll do a rehearsal the day before. So you get 2 chances to see the Royal Canadian Air Force in the skies over Toronto.
I am not going to miss that. That sounds fantastic. Wow, that came completely in out of left field. Thanks a lot for that. Chris St. Clair out on location earlier today filing that. That is, wow. I saw nothing about that in any other local media. That's good to know. I can hardly wait. Severe thunderstorms continue in play for southeast Ontario. We did have a severe thunderstorm. We have had severe thunderstorm watches that have been in place for anywhere from Kingston North through Bancroft and East Ottawa, all the way up to Cornwall and back down around again. It was in Ottawa North and Canada that we had earlier severe thunderstorm warnings. The system itself has already since moved through. It is in through the St. Lawrence. The next round of thunderstorms is in for tomorrow. That's for the Fundy Shores. And then Sunday, it's all rain for you in Newfoundland. Let's take a look at the amount of rain that we are looking at, 30 to 40 millimeters. Again, those that will be getting closer to the 40 will be made so because of the, you can see the convergence right here. That's where the actual front will be passing overhead, and this is your warm sector. And that's your risk of the thunderstorm, so higher amounts with the thunderstorms. The special weather statement is for heavy amounts of rain. It says locally 40 or more millimeters. The uncertainty is based on the track of the low. And right now the low looks to go through the St. Lawrence, but we have noticed a trend this week, and that is over the past 2 to 3 days, this system has been dipping lower and further south of the border. Smoke continues an issue both for BC and also northern Alberta. Onshore flow, bringing heavy amounts of rain for the central and north coast of BC. Thunderstorm rolling across the Rockies. We have had special weather statements and watches put in place. There's a severe thunderstorm watch that continues for all of central Alberta. This does include Edmonton, and it is the down as far south approaching Red Deer along the QE2. That will continue into Saskatchewan as we get closer to Saturday, with high pressure moving in to recover past that. Your local start now.
You're watching Canada's Weather Network. To help you plan your activities in the coming days, here are the short and long-term forecasts for your area. videos, visit upload.theweathernetwork.com. Keep the forecast at your fingertips. Download the Weather Network app at your favorite app store.
Less than ideal driving conditions along this highway in southern Queensland thanks to an out-of-control wildfire. Wildfires continue to clog the sky over Portugal with thick smoke. Hot, dry, windy weather sparked multiple fires in the south this week, forcing the evacuation of more than a dozen communities. Officials have arrested close to 100 people in connection with the fires. Gusts surpassing 100 kilometers per hour turns this Kansas neighborhood into a heap of fallen trees and broken windows. Residents say the storm that caused this damage was worse than last year's tornado. And Hurricane Gert is long gone, so focus has switched to Harvey, a storm that gained tropical characteristics yesterday afternoon. The storm is now drenching the Atlantic's Windward Islands.
Different.
Everyone loves nice weather, but severe weather can affect your safety. So it's important to plan ahead. That's why the Weather Network developed the Severe Weather Outlook. It's a new forecasting tool that can help you plan and stay safe. It provides 3 days advance notice of impactful weather, gives you important information about the probability and intensity of severe weather, and it's a quick reference tool that can be found right under your forecast. Visit theweathernetwork.com and check it out. Plan ahead, stay safe.
It's the new thriller movie starring Tom Cruise. It's Days of 30. No, it's not. It could be, though. We're looking at days across the country, some major cities that have hit 30 or greater. Some of them were hard to find. Toronto's only hit 7 on a same line. Can you imagine this? Toronto on par with Fort Simpson, Northwest Territories. All right, who won, who lost on that one? 13 in Regina, 8 in Calgary. Boy, that kind of jumps out at you. 42 days in Kelowna. I think it's only been 42 days of summer, so there's been a few more than that. But 42 days at or greater than 30. Hot, dry, and that has continued to play a role in maintaining the fire situation throughout the interior of British Columbia. We have hot, dry conditions that are going to be on the rise, but we're right around seasonal for Regina and Calgary for today, so that's good news. Winnipeg, seasonal, slightly below seasonal, and then into tonight, holding on to 22, feeling like 27 in Toronto. As far as thunderstorms, we have the Long Ranger coming up in just a moment. Thunderstorms central Alberta, along with smoke, southeast Ontario, and now it's the Long Ranger.
All right, time now for your long range forecast. I want to go to Monday to start things off. It's a special Monday. If you're in southern Ontario, maybe out in the west in BC, southern BC, you may have a chance of seeing 75% coverage of the eclipse.
So we've got a lot of warm and hot weather, but people are mostly concerned about sky conditions on Monday. So we'll look at the national picture where we do have some unsettled weather spreading towards Lake Superior and into the Nickel Belt later in the day, but fairly quiet elsewhere across southern Canada, and some of the best viewing found across southern BC into southern Alberta.
Except that you're watching for what we call cirrus cloud. That's the highest level clouds in the atmosphere. That could obscure it maybe just a bit. Right,
and that's something the models don't handle very well. So that's something we'll be watching across this region. Temperatures fairly comfortable in the west. In the east, great viewing where we will have 3/4 coverage of the sun at peak. And lots of clear skies, and take a look at the heat, 32 in Windsor.
That's my kind of way to watch the eclipse. I don't have my glasses, so I'm not going to watch it because I can't stare at it. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Tuesday. We have a front coming through. It is not going to make this heat stick around very long.
No, it's not. So on Tuesday, the humidex in the mid to upper 30s, but we already see the beginning of the end. Concerned about the threat for strong to severe storms with this front and some torrential rain as it tracks across southern Ontario, southern Quebec. Late Tuesday night, and then the system tracks into Atlantic Canada for Wednesday and Thursday.
And then you could shave about 10 degrees off your temperatures with that front passage.
We sure could. And cooling down, but later in the week in Atlantic Canada. Now, in the west, we start things off on Wednesday, where it's a rather warm day across the western prairies, but some unsettled weather comes in late week. Some rain impacting even southern BC. Not enough, but some. Later in the week, concerned about some strong to severe storms on Thursday, and unsettled weather continues into Friday.
All right, Doug, thanks for that long-range report.
West Ontario.
You're watching Canada's Weather Network. To help you plan your activities in the coming days, here are the short and long-term forecasts for your area. upload your photos and videos, visit upload.theweathernetwork.com. Visit our new and improved video gallery showing you the latest weather news, viewer videos, and more, only on theweathernetwork.com.
A cold patch of water in the North Atlantic has scientists alarmed. There is fear that an important ocean current known as the Atlantic Meridional Ocean Current is slowing down and altering weather.
AMOC is an important process that takes place in the Atlantic Ocean that acts like a conveyor belt, bringing warm waters from the equator northward, which then cools and sinks or turns over in the Arctic and then returns back towards the equator. It influences both climate and weather patterns all over the world.
This crucial ocean current is dependent on a very precise process. Melting Arctic sea ice appears to be disrupting the current's ability to turn over in the Arctic, as large influxes of less dense water are being expelled into the ocean. Experts still debate whether AMOC has even begun to slow down, but have noticed a weakening trend. Regardless of the current uncertainty amongst the scientific community, most experts are confident that climate change will have a significant impact on this important climate regulator.
Safety tips are brought to you by Insurance Bureau of Canada, representing Canada's private home, auto, and business insurers.
It's bonfire season, Celeste. I've got my marshmallows, my graham crackers, and my chocolate all ready to go. But what do I do to make sure that my fire is controlled and safe?
Well, I can tell we're both pretty excited to get a fire started this year. However, first, you want to make sure that there are no fire restrictions in your area and to see if you need a permit. Once all that paperwork is taken care of, be sure that your portable or permanent fire pit is at least 10 feet away from your home and from low-hanging trees. Never use lighter fluid to start the fire or any flammable liquid. And of course, be sure to extinguish it when you leave the area.
Thunderstorm risk in play for central and northern Alberta. Edmonton has been included into a severe thunderstorm watch. Big risk here. Large hail and strong wind. Cold core funnels are also a possibility with this. And this is as we get closer to our dinner time through the central region. This low stays to the north. The cold front sweeps south, will affect Saskatoon into tomorrow and areas Dauphin and north in Manitoba past that. But with this low starting, the center of the low is well off into the Northwest Territories. The return flow throws a northeast wind into Yellowknife for tomorrow. Rain in Yellowknife, but wildfires south of Great Slave Lake. That not only fans the flames, but pushes the smoke over northern Alberta like we saw last week. All right. We are going right now back to Chris St. Clair with this report that he was filing earlier today from the airstrip at Pearson. Here's Chris.
If you live in southern Ontario, you know that the Canadian National Exhibition is on now. And the Canadian National Exhibition, the culmination every year, is the Canadian International Air Show. Who doesn't love an air show? And I'll tell you, this year is particularly special because of what will happen with the Royal Canadian Air Force on September the 1st. They're getting new colors. It's an amazing ceremony, and if you're in the Toronto area, on the last day of August and the first day of September, you are going to be in for an amazing treat in the sky. We'll tell you more here on the Weather Network in the next couple of days.
Can't wait to find out what that's all about. Heavy rainfall, strong wind, and localized flooding. These are all the same risks that we had when this very same system was over Lake Superior yesterday. And I think we all know what happened there. If we don't, let me review. We had all of this instability out ahead of it. This is very, very high. This is off the charts helicity levels. And when we had the same setup over Lake Superior yesterday, Northwest Ontario and Fort Frances saw close to 55 millimeters of rain. We had around 30 millimeters all the way around the shores. Sault Ste. Marie saw close to 72 millimeters of rain. Now, that very same system is in through southeast Ontario, central and southern Quebec, continuing through all of Quebec all the way up into Labrador. Rain for the Maritimes tomorrow, then Sunday in Newfoundland. Chance of thunderstorms tomorrow through the Fundy shores. We have this follow-up low that just skirts along the shores of the Great Lakes tomorrow in Ontario. Risk of rain and the odd thunderstorm there as well. Again, heavy rain expected with this same system.
You're watching Canada's Weather Network. To help you plan your activities in the coming days, here are the short and long-term forecasts for your area. upload your photos and videos, visit upload.theweathernetwork.com. Keep the forecast at your fingertips. Download the Weather Network app at your favorite app store.
First stop, Australia, where winter isn't wrapping up gracefully. Wild weather hit the south coast this week with gusts up to 90 kilometers per hour. That was enough to stir up this vortex in Marion Bay. To the U.S., where Montana is feeling the effect of a hot, dry summer. So when lightning struck this week, it easily set off a wildfire near a national park. Today's wind is expected to spread the fire. To California, and this time lapse of wildfire smoke as it moved over Yosemite National Park Wednesday morning. Atlantic hurricane season is entering its peak time, and we're watching 3 storms. Harvey became a tropical storm yesterday. The other 2 could gain tropical status in the next few days. Your regional forecasts are on the 10. Stay with us.
It's never been easier to share your videos and photos. Get connected, get creative, and get sharing. Visit theweathernetwork.com today. Join now and share your weather.
Our weather watch continues for this Friday. Time for the developing stories. The thunderstorm risk has moved east. Ottawa, Montreal, eastern townships, eventually the Maritimes. We have the heat moving east as well. Smoke continues to blow all about, so watch for fanned flames into the weekend. The likelihood of fires being spread, the smoke continues to move across BC. And then an outflow wind looks to set up for Monday. It's very unusual for Barbados to be in the mix of tropical storms, but Harvey had other ideas. Now, getting ready for Monday's coverage of the solar eclipse USA. Here now is a special segment on that.
So for the upcoming solar eclipse, there's a couple things you really have to kind of think about. The first 2 are actually safety. Safety for yourself and safety for your camera. You absolutely do not want to be staring up at the sun while it's actually happening, pretty much at any point. So you want to make sure you have the proper eye protection, but then you also want to make sure you have protection for your camera. So you actually should be going out and buying a solar filter, and that will help protect your sensor from the same damage that could actually hurt you. The next thing is probably a zoom lens, because you're going to want to be getting as tight as you can to the sun, and a zoom lens is definitely going to help you do that.
Yeah, having the best and most proper eyewear is important. Isolated severe thunderstorms southeast Ontario expected for today. The biggest risk, the biggest threat with this, like we saw around the shores of Lake Superior yesterday, especially for you in Sault Ste. Marie, is heavy torrential downpours and localized flooding. Fort Frances, 55 millimeters of rain. Sault Ste. Marie, just a hair, a drop under 72 millimeters of rain. The center and the most active weather with this will be wearing and tearing across Long Island all the way up through the state of New York, coastal New York, through the New England states. But then on Saturday and Sunday, it will make a march across all of our Atlantic provinces. So watch for that coming up this weekend. Once it gets out over the Atlantic, first it takes that Caribbean Gulf flow. So you have the instability, obviously, in the buoyant, dense and buoyant Gulf Stream, but you also have all the re-enhancement of the moisture that comes in off of the Atlantic. So that inherency is certainly there. So that's the end of GERT, gone on into Western Europe. That's making its way to the United Kingdom. This is thunderstorms out ahead of the warm front. Again, we have a lot of energy bottled up there, and that's going to be right through the Fundy Shores. Chance of thunderstorms sparking up to, before we get to 8 p.m. So it'll be about between 5 and 7 p.m. And that would be for the Northumberland Strait and into the Gaspé Peninsula. So we're watching that as well. Thunderstorms expected today through central and northern Alberta, all along this boundary. A dinner time fired event is what we're looking at right now. Low off the coast of British Columbia keeps the onshore flow going. We have heat that's going to continue to move east. Then the temperatures go back down for Sunday. Then we have, as we get Sunday into Monday, a return flow around this area of high pressure and an outflow wind moving the direction of the smoke. Locals are now.
You're watching Canada's Weather Network. To help you plan your activities in the coming days, here are the short and long-term forecasts for your area. Upload your photos and videos. Visit upload.theweathernetwork.com. Go to theweathernetwork.com for an in-depth analysis on the science behind the forecast. Find exclusive articles straight from the meteorologists.
A lunar eclipse occurs during the full moon when the Earth, Sun, and Moon are perfectly lined up so that the Earth blocks the light of the Sun from reaching the Moon's surface. So essentially we are seeing the Earth's shadow being cast on the Moon. Lunar eclipses occur twice a year and can be seen anywhere that is experiencing night during the time of the eclipse. Now, a solar eclipse occurs when the Moon passes between the Earth and the Sun, and the Moon casts a shadow over the Earth. A solar eclipse can only occur during the new moon phase, and while they occur twice a year, it is actually a lot more rare to be able to see a solar eclipse, as the shadow cast by the Moon is only visible along a relatively narrow track along the Earth's surface.
It is so cold.
Quite a bit of wind with this passage. Winds will be gusting upwards of about 70 to 80 kilometers an hour.
Here's how dangerous it is out on the roads.
Wow, hold on to your hats today.
It's been going like this now and now it is coming down.
You know what it means when it rains or there's a hurricane on your wedding?
Good luck!
Yes! You're watching the Weather Network. Your weather when it really matters.
Meteorologist Jacqueline Woodall, I'm on the backside of this
big storm system right now. I want to draw your attention to that. I just hope that everybody is heeding the warnings today.
Closed captioning is brought to you in part by Kijiji, now with in-app messaging.
Yes, we have had active weather, and yes, active weather in eastern Canada is coming back around again. But if you found those moments in between it, like in Oakville, where Emily Vukovic was out yesterday morning, then you really enjoyed the dance between the raindrops. It was gorgeous yesterday morning before the heavy rain moved in. Or if you are Nathan Coleman, and there's heavy rain rolling in for the weekend in Nova Scotia, Nate called it, and I quote, a washout. Well, before that came in, the sun was out, and it was great to get out on the water there as well. Let's take a look at places that have had days that have at least hit 30 degrees, because that's just, it's a threshold for us in Canada, isn't it? Because our summers are so short. Toronto is on the exact same linear plane as Fort Simpson, Northwest Territories. So there's, I don't know whether that's great for Fort Simpson, lousy for Toronto, or what story there is, but Toronto's had as many days at or beyond 30 as Fort Simpson and WT. Regina 13, only 8 in Calgary. Okay, that's unacceptable. But Kelowna 42 days at or beyond, and that has been a huge player into the sparking and the continuation of what has now amounted to over 1,000 different fires in British Columbia. The danger level, the state of emergency being extended to September 1st, and also the amount of evacuations that we have had to deal with. We have thunderstorms and smoke rolling into northern Alberta. That is for today, tonight. Southeast Ontario, thunderstorms. This is the path they take. And now, for that story on BC, here's Chrissy.
Emotionally, it's been difficult because after a little while, everyone wants to go home to their own home.
It was interesting. I think it was something that I won't forget anytime soon.
It's kind of pins and needles, you know.
Knowing that the fire was all around, you think, oh, hope it doesn't take out my house while I'm asleep.
The wildfire season isn't even over, but it's already one British Columbians won't soon forget.
The uniqueness of this summer has been the magnitude of the sizes of these fires. We don't normally see fires that are exceeding in the 100,000 hectare size, and even in the 200,000 hectare size. We've got huge fires that we have never seen before, and numerous of them. We've had so many towns and communities and resorts and little areas on orders throughout the summer, and we haven't lost a life. That's something to be proud of.
You're watching Canada's Weather Network. To help you plan your activities in the coming days, here are the short and long-term forecasts for your area. photos and videos, visit upload.theweathernetwork.com. Visit our new and improved video gallery showing you the latest weather news, viewer videos, and more, only on theweathernetwork.com.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. Police declared an emergency situation as crews worked to combat multiple brush fires that broke out in eastern Australia. Evacuation orders were issued. Plumes of black smoke filled the skies on Friday, reducing visibility for people driving along the highway. Speaking of wildfires, hot, dry conditions paired with a dose of lightning, that fueled flames in western Montana. The Lolo Peak fire has been burning for more than a month. It has forced the evacuation of nearly 750 homes and scorched over 6,000 hectares of land. In Michigan, there were storms that pummeled the state, bringing intense gusts that downed trees and flipped over a trailer. Winds were at 115 kilometers an hour. Lastly, here at home, lightning lit up the skies in southern Quebec amidst active weather. This stormy scene was captured from Grand-Mère. Have a look at that.